For over a century, real estate was the ultimate, predictable bet for building generational wealth. The strategy was simple: buy a house, rent it out, and wait for capital appreciation to do the heavy lifting. But in 2026, that game has changed irreversibly. The rise of interest rates, the permanent shift toward remote work, and demographic collapses in major cities have turned traditional residential property into a low-yield headache. While the masses are still chasing old-school brick and mortar, a new type of digital land is exploding in value. I am talking about the physical infrastructure that sustains the virtual world, data centers and critical resource assets, such as water rights and energy infrastructure. Welcome to Investor Mindset. Today we are analyzing the pivot from living space to operational space. If you want to build a solid portfolio in the next decade, you must stop thinking like a traditional landlord and start thinking like an infrastructure provider. We are entering an era where the most valuable dirt is not where people sleep, but where machines think and where vital resources flow. Why are data centers the new gold? Because every time you use an AI, every time you stream a movie, or every time you conduct a digital transaction, you require physical hardware housed in a cooled room with a massive, stable power supply. In 2026, computing power is more valuable than oil. Real estate developers are no longer building shopping malls. They are converting old warehouses into high-density compute hubs. It is estimated that by the end of this decade, nearly 100 gigawatts of new capacity will be added globally, doubling what existed just a few years ago. The demand for data processing is growing at an exponential rate, far outstripping the supply of suitable land and available energy. The best part is that you don't need millions of dollars to participate in this trend. Through infrastructure REITs and specialized funds, even the retail investor can now own a piece of the backbone of the Internet. But there is a second, even more critical and less understood asset: water and arable land. As the climate becomes more volatile and global populations continue to demand resources, land with guaranteed water rights is becoming the ultimate hard asset. While the stock market fluctuates and digital currencies swing, humanity will always need to eat and drink. Right now, we are witnessing a quiet buy by institutional investors and billionaires who are acquiring water-rich territories. They aren't buying the land for the view, they are buying it for resource sovereignty. In 2026, water is not just a public utility. It is a strategic asset that will determine which regions thrive and which wither away. The strategy for 2026 at Investor Mindset is based on the concept of essentiality. Ask yourself this question: is this asset something the world must have to function tomorrow? A luxury condo in a crowded city is a want, subject to fashion and the economy of consumption. A data center in a stable power grid or a farm with a deep aquifer is a need. In times of economic uncertainty, capital always flees from wants and seeks refuge in needs. To diversify your portfolio effectively under this new paradigm, I recommend following the physical-digital nexus rule. You should consider moving between 15 and 20% of your real estate allocation into specialized infrastructure. Look for regions with stable governance, abundant renewable energy, and preferably cool climates that reduce the cost of cooling servers. The millionaires of 2030 will not be those who build the next iconic skyscrapers, but those who control the electrical substations, fiber optic networks, and water management systems that keep those skyscrapers operational. Furthermore, we must talk about the tokenization of real-world assets. In 2026, blockchain technology allows anyone to buy a fraction of these industrial assets. You are no longer locked into a 30-year mortgage on a single house. You can now own 5% of a data center in Virginia, 3% of a solar farm in Spain, and a stake in a vineyard with water rights in Argentina, all with a click. This liquidity is transforming the real estate market forever, removing barriers to entry and allowing the small investor to compete with massive capital funds. However, this shift toward Real Estate 2.0 also brings new risks that you must watch. Technological obsolescence is real. A data center built for the traditional cloud of 2015 may not be able to handle the massive heat loads of the new AI GPUs of 2026, which require advanced liquid cooling systems. Therefore, investing in this sector requires constant technical vigilance. It is not just about buying and forgetting. It is about investing in platforms that are at the forefront of energy efficiency and responsible water use. In fact, the Water Usage Effectiveness Metric, or WUE, has become as important as gross yield for major investors. The traditional residential market is also facing a utility crisis. In many parts of the world, property taxes and insurance costs are rising faster than rental income. This creates a squeeze that destroys the cash flow of the average landlord. Infrastructure assets, on the other hand, often have inflation-linked contracts. When the cost of living goes up, the rent paid by a tech giant to house its servers goes up automatically. This provides a level of protection against currency devaluation that a residential lease simply cannot match. Another crucial factor is the power scarcity. In 2026, it is no longer about having the land. It is about having the permit to plug in. The electrical grid in many developed nations is reaching its limit. Therefore, real estate that comes with pre-approved high-voltage power access is trading at a massive premium. This is what we call energy-anchored real estate. If you can find assets that bridge the gap between energy production and data consumption, you have found the holy grail of modern investing. In conclusion, the physical world is merging with the digital world in a way we have never seen before. Land is no longer valued solely by its geographic location for humans, but by its connectivity, its power capacity, and its resources for machines and survival. The window to acquire these essential assets before big banks and institutions fully adjust their prices is closing fast. The dumb money is still fighting over tiny apartments and suburban homes, while the smart money is quietly buying up the nodes of the global network. Those who recognize this shift now will position themselves to capture wealth that does not depend on hype cycles or retail trends, but on the very infrastructure of modern civilization. If this analysis has opened your eyes to a new way of understanding wealth and property, make sure to subscribe to Investor Mindset. We are here to monitor these tectonic shifts in real time and give you the tools so that you are not just a spectator of the global economy, but a sovereign participant. Leave a comment with the word infrastructure below if you are ready to pivot your strategy and protect your future from the decay of traditional real estate. Thank you for trusting this space for your financial education. Keep your long-term vision, study the basic resources, and always keep your mind in investor mode. I'll see you in the next analysis.